And you are listening to Our Community. Susie Thomas here with Canton City Schools Superintendent Adrienne Allison. Adrienne, before our break, we were speaking a little bit about Brighter Tomorrow, and you had spoken about what's going on in the early elementary classrooms. Also, but you had mentioned something about leadership. Tell us about that.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to do is we hear a lot of times that our community, our employers, our colleges and universities, in addition to having the academic criteria, they expect our students to have the soft skill criteria, the 21st century skills, creativity and collaboration and critical thinking, and being able to interact with each other in a way that leads to success. And so we have, as part of our Bright Tomorrow plan, created the leadership schools. And students in grades 3 through 5, there are 7 buildings. In addition to their core, they also engage in leadership. So they do that through the Kiwanis Club. They do it through a partnership with the Junior Achievement. Mm-hmm. They do it by studying Franklin Covey's Leader in Me. And those students are working intentionally on developing those soft skills, those leadership skills, those 21st century skills to go along with their academics, so that they are well-rounded individuals and are really good citizens in addition to smart citizens.
Now, is this in addition to the aptitude-based education? Is everyone getting the leadership training, or are some kids being really seeking out leadership as their aptitude? They want to be ahead of something.
No, we in our 3 through 5 leadership schools, it's our expectation that all students will have an opportunity to develop the leadership skills, and there are a number of ways that it is done in the schools. Well, I'll give you 2. One is the students at the school get to interview for certain jobs in the school. Mm-hmm. So they actually have to interview with the principal or the secretary, and then they become the secretary's assistant. And then what does that mean, and how does that manifest? And if you walk into any of our 3 through 5 leadership schools, many times you walk into a class. If you walk into a class, a student will get out of their seat, come and greet you, introduce themselves, ask for your name, tell you what's going on. Meanwhile, the whole class continues to operate, and the student will say, "Is there anything I can do for you while you sit and observe our class?" If you say no, then that student will say, let me know, and go back to their seat and continue the lesson.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes, it's pretty impressive, actually,
Wow.
to see the young people do it. And every time I see it, I go, wow, because that takes some leadership and some skill to get up and interact with an adult in that type of way. So we're really proud of all we're doing at the lower levels to try to build that foundation. We're proud of the identity that the middle school academies are facing. And so now we are, in phase 3 of our plan.
Yes, and phase 3 was the merger.
Phase 3 was the merger. Absolutely. So phase 3, one of the things that we talked about was making sure that our high school environment was conducive to where we needed to be short-term and long-term. Ultimately, I made a recommendation, and the board approved to merge McKinley High School and Timken High School. Mm-hmm. There were basically 4 reasons why I chose it. First of all, and these are in no particular order, but the first reason was fiscally. From a fiscal perspective, unfortunately, we continue to see a decline of population in the city of Canton, and when you have a declining population in the city of Canton, you also have a declining in school enrollment. Yes. And so the numbers of students who continue not to be in the Canton City School District continue to drop. And again, that is directly correlated with the city's population. So, fiscally was able to save us, $1.8 million over annually to do that. Secondly is academics. There were some discrepancies, some inconsistencies with the academic curriculum between the two high schools, and
That's interesting.
unfortunately, there's about 40 classes that we were able to count that were available to students at one school, but not at the other school.
Oh my, okay.
It was way too many, and many of those classes were of the upper level classes, and so for me, as I looked at that, I struggle with that inequity. They're all Canton City students. They should have the opportunity to participate in the academic curriculum that is as rigorous as we could possibly make it. And I think for reasons that I'm not sure about, I think it was historically, there was a big discrepancy
That's so
between the
interesting
schools.
because I think people would assume that the same things are offered everywhere.
No, unfortunately, it
district.
wasn't. It was not the same. It was, like I said, it was 40 classes. One example I'll give you is for example, students who wanted to be who took our engineering courses at former Timken could not also couple that with calculus, even though engineering and calculus in some ways go hand in hand for purposes of college prep. That was not available to them, and there were other examples like that. So fiscal, academic, arts. Again, you have a discrepancy in programming. You have one school that is putting on plays and musicals, and another school that doesn't have those programmings at all. You have situations where we are, because of the split resources, not really maximizing all of the kids' talents. And so we want to make sure that all of our kids have an opportunity to participate in the arts in a way that is good, frankly.
Yes. Give them a chance.
Yeah, give them a chance, and give them a chance, and not only give them a chance, but give them a chance for it to be great.
Yes.
Not just mediocre.
And
so
some may discover, as you were saying earlier, that is their strength.
Absolutely.
And they wouldn't have had an opportunity otherwise.
Exactly. So, that's the third reason, and then the last reason. And again, I didn't say these in order, but this actually would be the last reason in my mind, was athletically. Unfortunately, Timken was a part of a conference, and they were consistently losing. McKinley, and this is something that people don't understand, because you have big sports. You have McKinley football, and you have McKinley basketball, both ladies and men's.
Yes.
Outside of that, for the most part, McKinley consistently lost in every other sport. And so what you had really is two cultures of losing, and what divided losing. And so one of the things that this does is allow us to bring all of our talent together. One of the big issues, one of the biggest pushbacks I got from the merger was we were taking away opportunities for students because we had two schools, so you could have two varsity teams and and
not as many students would get an opportunity to play.
And I think that was a fair. It is a fair. It's a fair counter to the merger. Not all sports. There were some sports that will have less participation than others, by and large, because of the merger. But most other sports, actually, participation will go up, because there were times where we were fielding teams at both. One team wouldn't fill a JV team, or have very few players on varsity and at both schools. So now this gives us a greater pool by which to build development of players. But there are. I mean, you think about basketball, you can only have but 15 players on the team, and so there was no question that there were some. But by and large, we're actually building programs, not
this way you
taking
can have
them down.
Sixth grade team, seventh grade team,
Exactly.
And really start to groom them for varsity.
That's exactly right. And a lot of times, what was happening in our schools from an athletic standpoint is we were playing freshmen even when they weren't ready for varsity competition, and so that does not always equate to success, short term or long term. And so
a really good freshman team could build a lot of confidence.
Absolutely. But and exactly, that's exactly right. Because a lot of times, and we're unfortunately for our district, and this is the reality of Canton City, is we build basically within house the skill development. If you're in a suburban district, a lot of times there are clubs or other things where parents can pay to go and participate in developing skills. We have to do it in-house, and so we have to build that system all the way from, really as small as we can get them, all the way through. So that's one of the things that the merger allows us to do. So those are the 4 reasons why we merged, and it's
a good argument,
and I appreciate and again, but I mean, I am and have been sensitive always to the grieving process that exists around the name, colors, and mascot, because at the end of the day, that's where the grieving process took place. I got very, very few arguments about the substance of why we merged. So those 4 reasons, other than the basketball participation, it's been about the name, colors, and mascot.
Yes.
And I understand that. But my rationale was simply this. First of all, this school district has done this before. So this is not the first time this district has merged schools. Lincoln and Lehman, that's correct. And so Lincoln and Lehman, there were 4, and they went to 2, and Lincoln and Lehman became junior high schools, and then Lincoln ultimately left, but they're still a Lehman, and then you had Timken and McKinley as the high schools. And so that precedent had been set not to combine names, but instead keep a name. And so what we did was we kept the McKinley name for the high school, but we also did recognize our local fantastic partner in the Timken Company. Mm-hmm. The Timkens, all of the Timkens, not just the Timken Company, but the Timkens have supported not only Canton, but the Canton City School District for so long that there was no way that we were not going to honor them. And so the McKinley High School is the main high school, but Timken Early College High School now bears the Timken name. And that is one of our premier programs. That is a premier program really in this country, our early college high school, and it is now known as the Timken Early College High School. And because we do honor the Timken family for all of their support over the years.
That is exciting.
It is.
You mentioned something very cool before we went on, and I want to make sure we touch on this in our last 30 seconds. The scholar athlete. What are you doing new and unique with that?
Well, one of the things that we want to do is raise the expectations for everybody. And so one of the things I know you wanted to talk about is the dress code. So we got the dress code, but we also have a situation where we're honoring all of our scholar athletes. Malone University is going to sponsor that, and we're really excited.
That is so awesome. Thank you so much. This has been Adrienne Allison, Superintendent of Canton City Schools, and I'm Susie Thomas for the Light 95.9 WNPQ. You've been listening to Our Community. Tomorrow, we'll find out about Equip to Serve. Hope you'll be with us then.